Welcome to the world behind midnight. Tonight's file was sealed after a Soviet submarine base transmitted an acoustic signal that had no recorded human source, and the debrief of the operator, who heard it most clearly, was classified before he finished speaking. The sealed base had been sealed for 37 years. What was sealed inside it had been waiting for 37 years. What none of the operators understood when they descended, what the briefing did not tell them, what the ZVUK files did not say in plain language, was that the 3 biological subjects incorporated into the base's systems in 1984 were still there, still functional, and they had learned, over 37 years of waiting in the dark, exactly what kind of signal would bring someone down the stairs. Soviet submarine base Zeta 7 was built between 1971 and 1974 as an acoustic research facility in the Kara Sea sector, operating under a designation that appeared in no NATO intelligence catalog until 1989. The program running inside it, ZVUK, acoustic resonance with non-human biological entities, was not acknowledged by any Soviet agency until the 1992 archive transfers. And even then, the transferred files represented approximately 11% of the total documentation. The rest went somewhere else. Ched Air. Nadia Fasik, Russian Navy liaison, knows this because she was one of the 11 people who processed the 1992 transfer. She is 51 years old. She has not slept well since 1987. She begins every morning by checking whether she has slept. She counts the good nights. She is precise about it. Vasek explains the 3 biological subjects in the specific clinical language of someone who has been carrying technical details for 35 years, waiting for a context in which to set them down. The subjects were werewolves. 3 individuals incorporated into the Zeta 7 acoustic architecture in 1984 under ZVUK Protocol 7, not caged, not contained, but integrated. Modified at the neurological level by sustained exposure to the base's resonance array. The modification changed their function. They no longer operated as territorial pack animals. They operated as relay nodes, biological amplifiers that could receive, process, and broadcast acoustic signals through the base's physical architecture, the way copper wire conducts current. When the entity spoke, the pack focused it. When the pack moved, the entity directed. The system had been running, at low power, since 1987. The team descends at 0300, Arctic darkness. The access point is a tidal tunnel on the base's eastern face, the one that Vasek confirms was operational when she was last here in 1987, and that the decommissioning report lists as sealed. It was not sealed. The door had been closed. There is a difference. The smell hits at -4 meters. Brine, and something beneath it that is organic in a way that brine is not. Not the smell of the sea. The smell of something living in the sea's territory for long enough to have taken on the sea's signature without becoming the sea. Ghost notes it. He notes it specifically because he has been noting smells since the Caucasus, since the MGLE, since something in his perception changed and started registering information that his training had not covered. He does not mention this note. He files it in the same mental folder as the symbol in his peripheral vision. Vasek does not go below level 1. She states this once, without explanation, at the tidal access point. Ghost does not push. He has learned watching Kellerman, watching Doc, that the most informative thing a person can do is decline to explain themselves. What Vasek does instead, she gives Ghost a sealed envelope that she has been carrying in her left breast pocket since Murmansk. Inside, 8 pages of handwritten notes from 1987, in Russian, that she has never shared with any agency, any archive, or any person. She says to Ghost, "Page 4 describes what I saw on level 2, during the decommissioning. I could not put it in the official report. I put it here instead." Ghost takes the envelope. He puts it in his kit. He does not open it in the base. He will open it on the extraction boat. By then, he will not need it to explain what he has seen. Level 2. The base's resonance architecture is immediately perceptible. Ghost feels it before he sees anything. A low-frequency hum in the structural steel that his modified perception registers as information, not sound. Exactly. Pattern. The pattern of something that has been running at low power for a long time, and has developed a kind of momentum. The way a river develops momentum, not by rushing, but by persisting. The 3 relay werewolves are positioned in the corridor network at what Ghost will later calculate as equidistant points, not together, not patrolling, occupying specific positions in the base's geometry, the way a speaker array occupies specific positions in a room. Each one is stationary. Each one is facing a different wall. Each one's head is tilted at the same angle. 37 years in the dark. They have not wasted the time. Ghost stops moving at level 2 junction. He has been hearing the low-frequency pattern since level 1. Now, at level 2, something has changed. The pattern has changed. Not louder, more specific, more directed. As though the architecture of the signal has noticed his presence and reorganized around it. The 3 relay werewolves, which have not moved since the team entered level 2, shift slightly. Each one, simultaneously, not toward the team, toward Ghost. Their heads, which were tilted toward different walls, are now facing in his direction. Ghost does not raise his weapon. He stands very still and understands something that he has been not understanding since the Caucasus, since the resonance notation in Vienna, since the Amazon Amber nodes. He is broadcasting. He has been broadcasting since the Caucasus, and the relay array at Zeta 7, 37 years of waiting, is the first system powerful enough to receive him clearly. The entity that ZVUK designated as the Tour is never seen. This is not an absence. It is a presence that has chosen a different medium. The base's acoustic architecture, a submarine facility built specifically to amplify, focus, and direct sound, is its body, not metaphorically. The Chur does not inhabit the base. It is the base, in the same way that a voice is not separate from the air it moves through. The 3 relay werewolves are its nervous system. The steel corridors are its resonance chambers. The tidal access tunnels are its throat. Ghost, whose modified perception can now hear what his standard training would not have caught, begins to register the Chur as something coherent, not random acoustic interference, but a structured signal with internal logic, with something that resembles grammar, with something that resembles intent. Felix Drum, acoustic specialist, sets up his monitoring equipment at level 2 junction and immediately removes it. He sets it up again. He removes it again. He says, on the 3rd attempt, the readings aren't possible. Ghost says, what readings? Drum says, the signal has source localization. It knows where each of us is standing. It's adjusting its output based on our positions. Ghost says, what does that mean? Drum says, it means it's not a recording. It's not a memory. It's a real-time adaptive system. It's listening to us while it speaks to us. Ghost files this under ZVUK. Was not an experiment in acoustic resonance with non-human entities. ZVUK was an installation. The experiment ended in 1987. The installation has been running since. On the level 1 monitoring station, Doc reads page 4 of Vosik's 1987 notes. He photographs it and sends it to Ghost. The relevant passage, translated from Vosik's Russian shorthand. The subjects do not amplify random signals. They amplify signals from compatible sources. Compatibility is not a technical specification. It is a biological one. The 1984 subject selection process was not random. It was predictive. They were chosen because their neurology was already oriented toward the Chur's frequency. What the ZVUK program actually was, the thing that was never written in any transferred document, was a compatibility mapping program. An attempt to identify which kinds of minds were already tuned to non-human acoustic intelligence. And what Hargrove bought from the KGB in 1991 was not the program. It was the list. Ghost receives the photograph of page 4 and reads it standing in level 2, with 3 relay werewolves 12 meters away, who are still oriented in his direction. He reads it twice. He reads the compatibility mapping section. He reads the predictive subject selection criteria. He reads the phrase already oriented toward the Chur's frequency in Vosik's Russian shorthand and in Doc's English translation. And both times it means the same thing. He is on the list. He has been on the list since before he joined the Navy. He has been on the list since before resonance existed. He has been on the list since whatever process the ZVUK program used to identify pre-compatible subjects found his neurological signature, found it, marked it, and left it for someone to retrieve when the time came. The time came. Hargrove retrieved it. Ghost does not put this in any report. Doc hears Kellerman in corridor 7. He is not confused about this. He knows what he is hearing, in the specific technical sense of knowing that the chur is reconstructing a voice. From the acoustic memory of someone who passed through this corridor during a previous resonance-affiliated operation. He knows this. He follows the voice anyway. He follows it for 30 meters. He follows it because the order it gives is correct. Correct frequency, correct authentication code, correct tactical assessment of the team's current position. It is a perfect order, given in a perfect voice. He stops because the order uses Kellerman's sentence structure, but constructs the tactical argument in the specific way that Doc himself constructs tactical arguments. The chur has not only reconstructed Kellerman's voice, it has merged Kellerman's voice with Doc's own internal logic. It is Kellerman telling Doc to do what Doc would have decided to do. And that, specifically, is what is wrong about it. Ghost is at corridor 7 before Doc has fully stopped. He has been tracking Doc's position through his modified perception for the last 4 minutes, not tactically, not deliberately, but because his perception has been tracking the relay array's output, and Doc appeared in that output approximately 3 minutes ago as a point of specific acoustic focus. The chur had targeted Doc specifically. Ghost takes Doc's arm. He does not explain. He moves Doc back to the junction. He says, "It knows what you would have decided. It didn't make you follow Kellerman. It made you follow yourself." Doc processes this for approximately 6 seconds. Then he writes in his field notebook under a heading he has not used before, "Acoustic identity theft." Then he adds, below it, "Not theft, replica." The chur does not take. It duplicates, and the duplicate is more persuasive than the original, because the duplicate is already inside you. On the extraction route, Ghost passes within 8 meters of one of the 3 relay werewolves. He does not engage. He moves past it. The werewolf, which has been stationary for the entire operation, does not react to his passage in the way it reacted to other team members. It does not orient. It does not focus. It does something Ghost has not observed any werewolf do in 3 operations. It produces a low, sustained harmonic, not a vocalization, a frequency. Specifically the frequency that Ghost has been registering since the Caucasus, and that has been amplifying since Vienna, and that the Amazon Amber nodes confirmed as his personal resonance signature. The relay werewolf is broadcasting Ghost's own frequency back at him, not amplified, matched, perfectly, as though it has been holding this frequency in reserve for 37 years, waiting for the specific source to walk within range. On the extraction boat, Ghost opens Vasik's envelope. He reads all 8 pages. He reads them twice. Page 6 contains an observation from the 1987 decommissioning that Vasik wrote in the margin because there was no official category for it. The observation: the 3 subjects did not appear distressed at the decommissioning. They appeared to be waiting, Vasik wrote. They know the difference between a door and a wall. A wall stops. A door waits. We closed the door. They stayed, because they were waiting for something that had not come yet. Ghost puts the pages back in the envelope. He puts the envelope in his kit. He looks at the Arctic horizon, and adds this to the accumulation of things he is not putting in reports. Zeta 7's relay system spent 37 years, not dormant but in standby, receiving, waiting for a compatible source to walk within range. Ghost walked within range tonight. Felix Drum has been silent for the entire extraction. On the boat, he hands Ghost a hard drive. He says, 61 seconds of recording from level 2 junction. Ghost says, "What's on it?" Drum says, "The chur." Ghost says, "The entity." Drum says, "Not exactly." Ghost says, "Then what?" Drum looks at the hard drive in Ghost's hands. He says, "It recorded something that uses Kellerman's voice, and your tactical syntax and Doc's internal argument structure, and approximately 40% of something I don't have a category for. It's not three things, it's one thing, a composite. The chur didn't reconstruct three separate people. It built one instruction out of all three, Ghost says. What does the instruction say? Drum says, I translated it. It says, the one who broadcasts should come closer. Ghost puts the hard drive in his kit. He does not play it for the team. Doc files the mission report at 1600 from the Murmansk transit station. It is accurate in every particular that can be verified by a second party. Base layout, entity acoustic behavior, relay werewolf positioning and function, XVOOC compatibility data from Vosek's official files. Preliminary assessment of the chur as a persistent ambient intelligence integrated into the base architecture since 1984. He does not include the acoustic identity replication event in Corridor 7. He does not include Ghost's compatibility with the relay array. He does not include the 61-second recording. He does not include the instruction. He counts his omissions. He has filed one operation's worth of omissions before, when he filed the Black Cathedral report and listed Kellerman as Mia, without noting that Doc had already begun to suspect the circumstances of that Mia. The omissions are accumulating. He notes this without noting what it means, because noting what it means requires admitting that everyone on the team is now carrying private architectures that would collapse if compared out loud. Ghost receives a message from Morozov at 1830. 2 words in Russian. He reads it. He does not show it to anyone. Doc, watching from across the transit lounge, writes in his notebook, Ghost lied for the first time. He underlines it. He writes the date. He adds below it, in smaller notation. This is how it started with Kellerman. The first private calculation. The first thing held back. Kellerman held back information for operational reasons that made sense at the time. Ghost is holding back information for reasons that Doc suspects are not entirely operational. Doc does not ask. He has learned, in 3 operations, that asking the question changes the architecture. The message from Morozov says 2 words. Ghost has not told anyone what those words are. They are, he knows. The relay array at Zeta 7 broadcast, Ghost's resonance frequency, for 30 seconds, after the team's extraction. This is in Drum's technical report. The one that goes into the official file. 30 seconds at maximum relay capacity. The chair's amplification system at full output sends a signal across a range that Drum estimates at approximately 200 kilometers, depending on atmospheric conditions. What is in the Kara Sea sector within 200 kilometers of Zeta 7 is classified above Ghost's current clearance level. What Drum writes in his private notes, not the official report, whatever heard that signal heard it clearly. Whatever heard it heard Ghost's specific frequency, Ghost's specific identity, Ghost's specific location at the moment of the broadcast. Whatever heard it now knows who to look for, and where they were, and what they sound like. Ghost adds this to his accumulation. He does not title the accumulation. He notes that it is growing faster. 3 weeks after the operation, Doc completes the analysis of the ZVUK acquisition record. The acquisition was a 1991 KGB transaction, executed through 3 intermediate entities, with a final transfer to a U.S. intelligence contractor whose name is redacted in every available document. The transaction included the ZVUK technical files, the relay installation schematics, and one other item, the compatibility index. A list of subjects identified between 1974 and 1987 as pre-compatible with non-human acoustic intelligence, identified by name, nationality, birth year, and neurological classification. The list has 47 entries. Hargrove's name is not on it. His name is in a different column, the handler column, the column that identifies who would run each subject if and when the subject became operationally accessible. Ghost's entry is line 11. The handler column next to line 11 has one name. Doc reads it. He closes the document. He does not show this to Ghost. Doc writes in his private field notebook for 2 hours that evening. The section is titled, in his private shorthand, Program Architecture Continuation. He adds the Zeta 7 data to the arc that began in Vienna, 1943 Kev Soretti, 1974 ZVUK Subject Mapping, 1984 relay installation, 1987 sealing, 1991 Hargrove acquisition, 1994 Amazon werewolf team absorption, 2009 Kappa Navi voluntary contact. The arc is not random. The arc has a direction. The arc is narrowing toward a point. Doc draws a line through the chronology and extends it forward. The line's endpoint is not a date. It is a person. He has been drawing this line for 3 operations now, and every time he extends it, it ends in the same place. He underlines the endpoint twice. He writes one sentence below it. This was designed before any of us were born. He closes the notebook. He sleeps badly. Operation Cold Frequency is officially closed. 3 relay werewolves remain in Soviet base, Zeta 7. The chur continues to broadcast at low power through the base's structural steel. The 61-second recording sits on a hard drive in Ghost's kit. The compatibility index sits in Doc's memory, not his report. The arc that Doc has been drawing since the Caucasus now has 47 names on it, and 1 endpoint. The 2 words, Morozov sent he knows, have not been explained to anyone. Ghost's resonance frequency was broadcast to a range of 200 kilometers at maximum relay capacity for 30 seconds. Something heard it. Subscribe to The World Behind Midnight to uncover the next operation before it disappears. Because some secrets are best left behind midnight.